Hey everybody, today we're talking about an upgrade path to the starter deck Graveyard Gifts, and the ultimate goal of this video is to walk you through the steps of taking this free starter deck that everyone has on MTG Arena already. And if this is the type of deck that you would like to build, you could build into a standard Reanimator, Sultai Reanimator list. We're going to take it in two different steps and talk about the wildcard costs of building into the deck. But first, I just want to kind of establish the baseline. So this deck is all about grinding out value while you're putting cards into the graveyard, and then using Zombify to take one of those larger cards out of the graveyard and put it directly onto the battlefield, right? So you could get an early Arcanist, you could get an early Arbiter of Woe, and then late game, you could even do something like Rise of the Dark Realms and bring all cards from all graveyards back in there. So this deck requires a certain play style where you don't mind trading off early on because you know your graveyard is another resource. And so by early trades, you're building up cards into the graveyard and then you're able to bring them back. Later on, our Sultai Reanimator deck, we're going to be able to force cards into the graveyard even quicker. We're still going to be using Zombify, and we're going to be using the new card, either Caverno or Spectacular Spider-Man, depending on if you're playing in paper or arena, to be able to bring those cards back at, the same cost for mana. Will be the cost of bringing those cards back, but you'll get even more impact when we use even larger cards in the top end of the deck. So let's jump into a couple of games real quick and see how this deck performs and kind of get a feel for it, and then we'll take the first step where we upgrade it with right around It's 4 rares, but it is 11 rares if you decide to start buying into the lands. The lands end up being pretty expensive, so that first step is not going to be super expensive. We'll go ahead and keep this one. I don't love it. We'll have Ops fill the graveyard, but we're also going to need black lands. We have 9 tap lands in this starter deck, so that's something to consider. If we really need an early stab, we might not be able to have the mana when it's needed. So we'll go ahead and we'll play Opt at the end of our opponent's turn. Yeah, something like Llanowar Elf. This would be a great stab target, but if we don't have an untapped black source, we're not going to be able to do it on the first turn. Okay, all black cards have to go away until we get this swamp. Now we'll go ahead and stab this really quickly and just kind of slow our opponent down while we build for more. Now, something like that Dreadwind Scavenger we would love to have, and we'll certainly be looking for something on the way with these ops. Here's the stab. We'll go ahead and get rid of some of their mana there. We'll have a very similar turn. Get rid of the Mana Dork. We'll opt on our end step. This is 4 mana to put a 2+1/+1 counters on it. Obviously that makes it a 3/3. It would be a decent sized threat in the mid game, but hopefully we're going to, a 4/3 Trampler, much more dangerous. I'll attack for 1. Hopefully we'll find some action here. No more lands needed. Rise from the Dark Realm is not what we're looking for. Okay, another 4/3. This is starting to be a lot. Essence Scatter will kind of help us not add anything more to the board, but honestly, he could just put the 2+1/+1s here and attack for 10, and we're going to be dead the following turn. Right now, it is an attack for 7. Yeah, it's something gaining haste, so we're going to have to just say no to the first thing we can. Yep, he'll attack for 9. This is probably going to be the end. here's a Zombify, which certainly part of the deck, but we didn't have any targets in the graveyard, and so we are going to be done there. We're going to jump right into another game. You'll see the issue with Rise of the Dark Realms, right? 9 mana, even though it does a lot, it is almost unplayable. I'm trying to think. I know I've cast it one time, but if I'm sitting here trying to think about whether or not I've cast it, it means that it's not getting cast as often as it would need to be. I don't love the reactive hand. We are going to keep it, but it's not exactly what I'd like to see. We'll start with an island, and we'll hold up Essence Scatter on 2. See, if it's a low value target, now we're kind of forced, like, do we use it? We're probably forced into it. It won't be till turn 4 when we could barrier and hold up Essence Scatter. We held it up last turn, so no reason to not hold it up this turn. They're going to kind of save up their removal until they have a creature out and have prowess or something like that. Yeah. It's going to be a tough one, so we'll get the barrier out this time. Now you would need 6 mana to be able to play a creature and hold up a counter. And I don't want to use the counter on that. Here, I'll use it here. Obviously, you know that most of their turn is done. They do have 1 more mana if they want to go ahead and shock the barrier. We could bring out the Shriek Mass, but I really do want 1 more land. Once we start playing Sorcery Speed, then we're never going to hold up Essence Scatter again. And so the fact that it's up right now, yep. If he wants to, oh, okay, Charter Course. I thought if he wanted to go ahead and deal 3 damage and get that off the battlefield, he certainly could. Again, nothing last turn. We're going to do nothing this turn. We actually wouldn't mind if Gleaming Barrier goes. We would have 1 more mana. We do have Baked in a Pie to be able to kind of deal with anything that gets through. However, we're hoping not to have anything get through. Yep, he will attack. We will block. Opponent has a lot of cards in hand. You would think something would happen here. Still 4 mana. Is this a removal spell for the barrier? No. Certainly shouldn't be. We'll go ahead and play a Shriek Moss. This is almost inevitably getting killed, but the mill 3 is going to be nice. Hopefully we find an even better target for Zombify, but again, like, they do have a lot of removal right now. Okay. Tap land. Tolarian Terror. Yeah, we'll go ahead and spend 2 mana instead of having to spend a lot more. We'll block. Is this the time that he uses a removal spell? Yeah. Okay. Certainly worth getting a Burst Lightning out of his hand. This Shriek Mob will be a 4/4 as soon as it mills. Arbiter of Woe, he needs a creature to sacrifice, so nothing specifically there. Okay. Yep, he's going to get some creatures on the battlefield. Okay, Burst Lightning. Yep, this does not have haste, so this is only an attack for 2. We could Zombify it to get 3 more cards in the graveyard. Arbiter of Woe still can't be played, so this is the best play right now. Okay, he's going to draw a bunch of cards. We don't want this to get removed, but we will block the 2/2 if that's available. Can't block here because if they have a spell, then they'll get the prowess. Yep. We don't mind that quite as much. We could sacrifice this to have them discard a card. Not sure that's still in our best interest. Let's just hold it up for now. Dive Down was used kind of to save his creature, but that means like what's going to happen this turn. We have Baked in a Pie. That will create a food token. We do need a creature to sacrifice for Arbiter. We're going to block 1 and see what happens with Prowess, if anything else happens. Don't mind taking the 4. Dive down on this one. Yeah. This is Baked in a Pie on the Prowess. Is there another dive down? No. But a trade. Oh, no. He keeps his card. Okay. He does keep his card. That is true. And we do not get the food token because of it. We will Baked in a Pie here to get the food. Hopefully gain a little bit of life. Arbiter becomes a little bit of a pain in the hand right now. We will sacrifice the food while we have some open mana. Temple of Deceit will at least let us scry if there's another. Yeah, like Stab. It is a 2/2, but Stab, like, we're pretty far away from what we need. Yeah, it's tough. Opponent had a lot of card draw. We're going to take 2 more. Now we know Stab is the only play this turn. So now our opponent gets to draw another card, another land, another not anything happening here. Okay. He said lands, am I right? Sure. Get rid of a land, draw a card. Hopefully a small creature. Okay. Gleaming Barrier. Certainly enough to sacrifice. Now, he certainly could have another removal spell, but if he does, this is still just a little bit more life for us and an extra card. If he has a removal spell, he uses it and then discards his last card. And so we end up 1 card up here. But we'll pass back to him and then he'll draw another card. So, opponent considering what to do here. Not sure exactly what the consideration is. If it's 2 lands, you obviously immediately dump the land. If it's a removal spell and a creature, yeah. Yep. This is what you kind of have to do. Okay. But it was only another land there. Okay, we'll hold up 1 land. We are at the mercy of the top of the deck. Good opt draw for my opponent. A Lava Runner, okay. Oof. Just way too many lands on both sides. Opponent is considering playing something first main. Don't know exactly what he would be considering here. He should probably slam in, and if that is a non-land card, if it's a permanent, he would be remiss not to just play it out quickly. Okay, thought about this. Arcanus, 3/4, draws a ton of cards, but does so slowly. We can put it back in our hand if he tries to burn it out. But every time we do that, he's going to get in another hit for 2. We will not be blocking on this current turn. We certainly want Arcanus to stick around if possible. It is unfortunate it has to tap to draw the card, so the way this plays out, he attacks here, I go to 7. On my turn, I don't attack, and then on his turn, I don't block because I don't want to lose it, and then I tap and draw 3 cards. So on the third turn, I'll have cards with a whole bunch of mana, but I am not going to risk losing Arcanus. You certainly can put it back in your hand, but if you do, it takes off the ability to draw cards because you no longer are summoning sick, right? Although here I could draw, so it's 4, so it costs 10 mana to play it, to draw cards and then replay it afterwards. No, I'm good to go. Let's go to blockers. I'll surprise him with Brineborn, and I'll trade off Brineborn. Enigma Drake's going to be huge. One swing will end the game. But Brineborn. Then we'll draw 3 cards. Okay. We could play Stab, get rid of this, and get a counter. We're going to have to play both because they both are going to have Death Touch, so their Enigma Drakes are not going to be able to attack. One swing, and we're dead. So that's the unfortunate reality that we're in, but that's okay. We'll have to go ahead and deal with this. We'll draw a card and discard a card, probably looking to dump Inspiration, but you know, we could Inspiration and just get baked into the pie, right? 3, 4. We could just do that. We would also have a Death Toucher back just in case. I don't hate it. Let's mill 3 and then return an instant or sorcery. Ah, Rise of the Dark Realm. That is a great one, and as you can see, we are not going to take it. So even when it's great, it's not good enough. Dive Down. Okay. Well, good thing that we knew, or not, I'm sorry, we didn't know about Dive Down. Good thing we know about it now before we attack, so we will no attack. We will go ahead and cash in these treasures and have a second Death Touch flyer in case he untaps, draws 1 card, and it is a flyer. I'm sorry, it is a removal spell. He could burn 1 out if we only had 1. Okay, he's going to have to draw 2 and then discard 1. And it is Niv Mizzet. Whenever a source deals non-combat, you may draw that many cards. Okay. That is a thing for sure. We will be drawing 3 cards and then a card for our return. 3 lands. Wow. Okay. Well, we could do the same thing. We could bake into a pie. Yeah, I think that is... I think that's the call. Bake into the pie. Here. And that's all we can do, right? Yep. We could have waited till he drew a card and then baked into a pie. Not sure that that would be in our best interest. We will draw 3 more cards. Eventually we will win with just drawing cards, but it is eventually, right? And so we want to get there a little bit faster. Being said, how many cards are in the library itself? Is that 6 cards in my library? Okay. Yeah, that's something to consider. Do we have another baked in the pie? We do. Okay. Stab. So there's 5 cards here. We'll mill 3. So we'll have 2 cards left. And this is not a May ability. This has to draw and discard. I'm gonna mill myself out, aren't I? Well, I can attack for... I can attack for 7. So these are now off the table. Get rid of this. I can harvester. There's 3 cards left. I can't use this anymore. Do I get 1 more? Right? I do get 1 more. No, because I'll die to the attacks. This is an instant. This is an instant. Okay. A second Enigma Drake. Yeah, I'm gonna lose to... Yeah. Wow. Okay. He blocks. I can attack with these 2. So I have 3 cards left. So I can attack, attack. Okay, another land. So, if I attack with everyone, I lose. I can attack with this many. I have 1 card to draw next turn. So, I'm attacking for 13. What's there? Okay. Okay, I can't play another one because I die. He has to know I can't attack with these, right? So next turn, all he has to do is not attack here, and he wins. Yeah, went through the whole deck. Do I have another Arbiter? Is the last card Arbiter? Let's see. I see one. Wait a minute. Is my last card Arbiter? No, there's an exile one. He attacked. Why did he attack? No. Really? What happened? Why did he attack? He knows I can't attack with these guys. I was at 0 cards in library. Wow, that is a strange victory. That is not the way. Okay, so as we are building into a more powerful deck, we are not looking to go through every single card that we have. That was a crazy one. But okay, let's take a look at what step 2 would look like for this deck. So I have it here under Graveyard step 2. Here we go. And let's talk about what this deck looks like. So this upgrade to the deck is 4 commons, 2 uncommons, 4 rares. We will talk about the land separate, so there are 7 rare land upgrades here. That's not necessarily needed, but it does make the deck more consistent. You also have 2 other cards, as you can see them here, that kind of increase the power of the cards you're bringing back from the graveyard. These are cards that everybody has for free in Arena because they are black cards that are in the other starter decks. So I'm not counting them for the total of wild cards that you would need to make this step because you do not need to craft them. So let's go over first we'll go with the 4 common. And the 4 common are the only cards that are not going to transfer all the way through till the finished product. And that's Unauthorized Exit. This is 1 and a blue for an instant. Return target non-land permanent. So it's not just creatures, it's any kind of permanent to your owner's hand, and then also surveil 1. So this can by itself put 2 cards in the graveyard, the second being the surveil, this being the first. It can slow down aggressive decks and give you more time to get to your 4 mana spells. This is a great card at a small price, right? You will not be keeping it forever, so if you are really new and you just don't have many wildcards at all, if you don't have the 4 commons, this is something to skip. But if you do, this will definitely help the deck and kind of slow down your opponent while you're getting your stuff online. The 2 uncommon are Bitter Triumph. This is instant speed, destroy target creature or planeswalker, because you are going to be playing up against some planeswalkers now that we're leaving the starter queue, right? As an additional cost to cast this spell, either discard a card or pay 3 life. So what we really want to do with this is we want to discard the big time spells that get stuck in our hand. We'll discard them, and then they'll be in the graveyard where we need them to be. Ops and Stabs, Brineborn, Cutthroats, these all just carry through. We would, generally speaking, go ahead and replace them, but we just don't have the we don't have the bandwidth right now to go ahead and do that. You have Kiora, Crow, Scavenger. You have all the regular cards. The 3 Zombify, this is the through line from the very beginning deck all the way to the end deck. 4 mana, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Please note for this is not a cast trigger. This is just return it to the battlefield. So if your large creature target has an enters the battlefield effect, it does work. If it says, upon casting, do this, it does not work because you are not specifically casting that creature. However, Caverno, or if you're playing in paper, this is the Spectacular Spider-Man. This is a 4-mana 4/4. And it says, you may have Caverno enter as a copy of a creature in your graveyard. So, you are casting it because Caverno has to be cast. It's just entering as a different creature. Okay? When you do exile the card, so you're going to exile the creature card from the graveyard. So, that's a way to get these big-time cards in faster. By faster, it is also more consistent because it is kind of a 4-mana deck, right? So your big plays are going to start on 4. Before that, you're going to be looking to trade off. You're going to be looking to dump cards into the graveyard, and then you're going to be able to bring them back. The new cards that we have, High Society Hunter. This is a 5-mana, 5/3 flyer. At 5 mana, it is castable, right? So we took out like Rise of the Dark Tides and the really uncastable, super expensive cards. And we put in cards like this. So this is a 5-power flyer, which automatically, it's a really fast clock. And then whenever you attack, you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on this. Whenever a non-token creature dies, draw a card. So in our deck, we're not specifically set up for going crazy with sacrifice, but you can sacrifice some of the smaller creatures that you have in order to continue to draw cards. Massacre Worm is 3 black, black, black. When it enters, creatures your opponents control get -2/-2 till the end of turn, and then whenever a creature your opponent control dies, that player loses 2 life. So for smaller aggressive decks, this could be a board wipe. A lot of times it kills 1 or 2 creatures, but then it also triggers the life loss, and then you have a bigger creature on your battlefield than your opponents normally would. So with that said, we're going to jump into some standard games and see what this deck can do. This is the Step 2 version, and again, I'm going to reiterate myself. This is 4 commons, 2 uncommon, 4 rares for the main deck. This is also 2 rares that were not included in this deck, but everyone on Arena would have for free. Obviously, if you're playing in paper, you would just use the large creatures that you do have hanging around. And then this is 7 rare lands to make the deck more consistent. This will be important when we go to a 3rd color, just to make sure that you can hit your colors on time. So we have things to slow down our opponents. We do have Caverno to bring something back. We don't have anything to kind of put things in the graveyard, so we will definitely be looking for that. But let's give it a whirl and see how it goes. Okay. We'll start with tapped Watery Grave. This is a shock land. You pay 2 life to have it come in untapped. For those who may be newer to getting into Standard, while this certainly looks like a downside, it's certainly an upside because you get to choose when you pay 2 life and when you don't. We are in a mirror match, and I would assume that our opponent may have some larger threats or more consistent threats, but we shall find out. Steamcore Scholar. Okay. Looks like they're going to be ready to Caverno on turn 4. Yep. Putting Runescar Demon into the graveyard. That is difficult to deal with. Unfortunately, not much here. We're going to Kiora. So, we could... So my assumption is he's going to get Runescar Demon, right? We could try and... We could put a creature in a graveyard, but if we do, we're tipping our hand that we're going to do the same thing. Kiora doesn't specifically tip it right now. What if we do... Yeah, I guess... No, what if we do this? Our opponent might mistakenly grab Runescar Demon and not take Bringer of the Last Gifts. Then we can Bringer and wipe the Runescar Demon. Although whatever card he gets on Runescar is still going to be in his hand. So, not an amazing plan, but something that's definitely possible. Caverna lets you enter as a creature card in a graveyard. Power and toughness of creatures in all graveyards. Okay. Okay. Now we get to go first, and then he'll go second, and then he'll wipe the board, right? So do I want to wipe the board here? Right? Because then he gets Runescar Demon. And I don't have enough creatures on the board. Okay, so then I get Runescar Demon. And I get to search for a card and put it into my hand. Do I just take another? And I attack. He may or may not block. So he's thinking about getting this and then wiping the board. But then don't I just do the same? Yeah. Okay. He's gonna have a whole bunch of triggers, right? Dump 2 creatures. Oh, they're not in the graveyard anymore because they're on the battlefield. Okay. Okay. So I can grab something, but it's not going to be great. I can put one back in his hand. I can put 2 back in his hand. And surveil. Okay. I could attack to get an 8/8, but is that going to help me? I don't think so. He eats it, and I end up with an 8/8. I mean, I guess it is an upgrade, right? Another creature in the graveyard. A trade. Okay. Strange, it was a trade. He can make big creatures. Yeah, if I'm him, I don't want to play too many other big things. Arden. So Zombify only gets it from your graveyard. Ancient. Okay. Okay. Rhino enters as Arden. Which brings back something. You can bring back another Caverno that can come in as... Do we want to come in as Prankster? No. Can come in as Shriek Mass. No attacks. Opponent's got a ton of cards, right? So they're not quite the point. Okay, they can draw a card and discard a card. And they're going to mill themselves, I would assume, yeah. Well, they have a chance to attack, they're going to take it. We block here and here. Okay. Well, we only have one play this turn, right? I mean, I guess we do have two plays if we wanted to play those two. But we were definitely looking to zombify something. I guess we can play Dreadwing. Okay. Now we can kill something at instant speed. We can have Caverno enter, and then don't we just enter it as Bringer of the Last Gift? We do, but it was not cast. Okay, it was not amazing. It does have lifelink, so we can attack here. Gain some life and have Bitter Triumph up. Okay, we do have Death Touch. He's gonna want to slam in with everything. Okay. He's gonna get a non-avatar back to his hand. Okay. Going through libraries quite a bit here. So we're gonna have to Bitter Triumph in order to stay alive. Let's see. This is Menace, so that is another wrinkle. We can so if we just block here, we take 7, 12. Block here. I want to keep Arden. We'll Bitter Triumph also. Okay. anything huge in our graveyard. Zombify can only get something from ours, and then we're going to bring something back. Okay. Something big and beefy on the ground. We'll have to worry about blockers next turn. We will get in for lifelink, though. Okay, one flying blocker. So, what are we going to get? We're going to get is it Scavenger? We're going to get two things, right? Sorry. We're going to get two things. We're going to get a Scavenger and we're going to get a you can get a Shriek Mass. We can get something from his graveyard, of course. We can get Overlord. So, flying again is 4 life. End of turn. We do have a flash blocker. We do have a chance to gain some life with the Overlord. Obviously, we'd love to be able to try and keep it around, but we're well past what we would like to do here. Now we are definitely in survival mode. Whether we win or lose, I mean, I would assume that we would still be favored to lose here, but because he has so many cards. But regardless, I think it's a good showing for the deck. Flash and a blocker. And we make sure we can survive. We don't have a great blocker there. We can block the 8/8. Take 4. This is take 9. Yeah, let's see what this gets us. Could be a hard time to stay alive next turn. This is entering as something. Uh-oh. This is entering as a bringer. Okay. Let's see what happens with these triggers. Do they run out of cards here? That is a real issue. They have Scholars. That's draw 2. Discard. They have 2 mana up, so they'd need the Arden to give things haste, and I don't think they're going to have it. We would certainly have enough blockers. They're going to deck themselves. certainly easier when you have the rare and mythic rare targets for you know, searching, but if you don't, you can hang with them, that's for sure. So they have 0 cards in their library, but they're not actually dead yet. They died to this. Okay. Okay. Very well. That was a little strange there. They drew 2, so it let them draw the 1, but I guess the trigger was still there. That they were going to die for having nothing in their library. We'll look to play another. Okay, second game with our Step 2 deck. Let's see how this one works. A couple of mill decks going around here. That is exciting. Different from what I thought it would be, but you know, we'll see. We'll take it as it comes. Obviously, having rare mythics as your targets for, you know, your Zombifies and your Cavernos, that's what you really would like to see. This is clearly a half step on the way to building a full deck. So we'll be a little bit more competitive when we fully get there, but hopefully I'm trying to show that we could definitely hang at least in the standard queues. We'll go ahead and keep this. This is find a third land, draw and discard, and then hopefully find something to bring things back. Start attacking with scavengers. Okay, opponent looks like they're set. And we'll start with an opt. Opponent's mulligan. Okay. Oh, you can play an equipment you can attach to it. +4/+4. Okay, really large. Hopefully we will have Death Touch for most of those large creatures. Okay, we did get a second land. This is Start Your Engines. Land. Blue, okay. We don't know what we're up against, but we will go ahead and... Looks like we'll... We could dump the Shriek Maw, but... I don't know if the Cutthroat is going to do much against this. Really big. Nesting Bot, okay. Okay, let's attack. See what we get off the draw and discard. Let's get rid of the stab. I like to keep the land if possible. Let's play the Shriek Moss now, before our opponent has 5 mana, and we want to hold up Bitter Triumph. Bitter Triumphing Nesting Bot is just going to make another one for them to use the following turn. So it's not a great plan in general. But we'll have to hold up removal spells from now until the end of the game. We can draw and discard so that we can... Ooh, we want that. Guess we do have to get rid of the land. Time to attack. Blood Token. Okay, 5/4 flyer. And he's attaching right to it. Okay. Only one black, so Bitter Triumph not coming down this turn. Okay. And he attacks for 2. Okay. Well, we can take 3 life. I mean, I guess we can only do one thing anyway, right? So we can take 3 life to destroy. Attack. Opponent goes to 10. If he equips this is 4, 5, 6. Okay, drone tokens. Those drone tokens are going to be pretty good for him. It's going to be hard for us to get through. He does have this 5/4 flyer in the graveyard. It means we could just grab it. No cards on hand. He could put this on a flyer and attack in. So we could do either one. We could grab a 5/4 and surveil 2. That looks pretty good. Okay, I like both of these. Okay. I like attacking here. He's going to either chump block or look to put something on the flyer. So right now, like, we hold off almost all of his blockers. But if this is a land, it's an equip. If it's not a land, then obviously it's assumingly another attacker. Apologies there. Okay. Okay. I mean, this is going to sting. This is going to be for 6, right? Okay, he attacks for 5. Okay, well, we know what's the next card in our hand, right? So if we pay this, we're going to have to pay the 3 life to kill this. Yeah, and then still be able, and then still attack. Yeah. I think this is right. Clears the way for us attacking. We know what card we're drawing. We have to discard Massacre Worm in order to stay alive. We attack. And then it all depends on what our opponent draws here. Best case scenario, they draw a land. They think they're going to get something in with the helmet. Yep. Get 1 card. Okay, they have to attack with everybody here, which means we put this back in their hand. No, they don't attack with everybody. Okay, now we'll do it. Yep. Okay, so even with less than optimal targets for your reanimation, this deck certainly looks like it can perform. Now we'll flip over to the Sultai Reanimator list and look what the step 3 of this upgrade path looks like. So, Sultai Reanimator. This brings in green for the early plays, specifically Town Greeter, where for 2 mana you can get a 1/1, put 4 cards into the graveyard, then put a land from among them into your hand. Esper Origins, which is 2 mana for Surveil 2, gain 2 life. But if you paid this from Flashback, it's Surveil 2, gain 2 life, get a 4/4, and when you get this 4/4, you look at the top card of your library. Again, you just surveilled, right? And then you can put a permanent card into your hand if it's on top. If it survives 1 turn, you also get 2 green mana on that secondary turn. The last card you get is Awaken the Honored Dead. This is black, green, blue for an enchantment saga. Destroy target non-land permanent. And then the second chapter, you mill 3 cards. In the third chapter, you can discard a card. If you do, return a creature card or land from your graveyard to your hand. So you're playing this just for the removal, and everything else is just gravy after that. If you notice, we still have the 3 Zombifies in the deck. We still have the Bitter Triumphs. We still have the Cavernos. So that's great. But we did use a lot of rares in order to upgrade our package of big hitting cards from later on. So Overlord, when this is played or when it attacks as a 5/5, you get to mill 4 cards and then put a non-avatar creature back into your hand. Obviously, you're looking to get Cavernos there. You do have Arden that lets you play cards from your graveyard every turn, and then demons have Menace, Lifelink, and Haste, and again, all the cards that you play are demons. You have Bringer of the Last Gift, which destroys all creatures that are on the battlefield, and then all creatures that are not put there this turn return from the graveyard to the battlefield. You have Vein Ripper, which has Ward, sacrifice a creature. Whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. And then the last is Valgaroth. This is a 9 mana, 9/9 flying lifelink and ward. The ward is sacrifice 3 non-land permanents, and that's, it does have some other abilities, but that's really what it's there for. When you talk about upgrading the deck to this point, we are talking about a large commitment of wildcards. So to go from step 2 to step 3, this is 4 commons, 18 rares, and 6 mythic rares from the main deck. And it's also 10 more rare lands, and then 2 mythic rares, being the Cavern of Souls. This will help give you smooth mana for all 3 colors. But that does mean that your total engagement here is getting close to 40-ish rares if you don't have anything, if we're talking about a brand new account and somebody's just starting to play on Arena. That is daunting, and I certainly understand why it would be daunting. I would suggest that you could make this deck where you have most of the main deck. Maybe you don't have every single one of the rare kind of targets for reanimation, and you do have to use some tap lands here. Town Greeter helps you get towns, will also give you an additional life bonus there, so that's something to consider in here. You can play a worse mana base and your deck would just be not as consistent, but it would still play the same. It still has a very similar play style. So this is what the full Reanimator deck looks like. There are a couple of other flavors of this Reanimator deck. There is one that plays Terror of the Peaks. There's another that is just blue-black by itself. I've also seen like a mono-black version where you are, I believe it's millless, so you're getting cards out of your hand in other ways besides actually milling them. But we're going to take this through a couple of games and see if we can kind of tell the power level jump from what we had in step 2 to what we have in step 3. The biggest one is going to be the consistency with this 3-color mana base. Okay, so let's just jump in and get some games going. We'll go ahead and get it started right now. Like I said, I don't expect anyone who is new, who's playing in the starter decks, to say, okay, this is the deck that I want to build. I'm sure I'm going to start building this immediately. This is why we provide these upgrade paths, so that it can take a little while until you get there. Verges, you have to make sure you're looking at the first color of mana. So this is only green unless you control a swamp or a forest. So right now we have no basic land type. So this is green, green, blue. Now we do have Esper Origins, and so we'll have to go and dig for a black land. Ideally, we would get a creature and a black land to be able to put a creature in and zombify on turn 4. We will go ahead and keep this, but that is something to consider. When you're looking at Verges, the first land type has to be something that you're looking for immediately. They start with Island, and we will start with a green Verge. And okay, now the Shocklands have both types, so this is Forest and Island. So as soon as we play this, we will be able to make all 3 colors. And we'll start with Esper Origins. Opponent may counter. This looks like a control deck. Yep, Spell Pierce. Spell Pierce does put Esper Origins into the graveyard, so that is something to consider. Not much on turn 3, unfortunately. We can try again on turn 4, but by then our opponent will have quite a few resources. Okay, 3/3. Okay, we are going to Surveil 2. You know what? We could use this Bitter Triumph, get one of these cards out of our hands to be able to reanimate. Should have thought of that. Otherwise, we could have just had an extra land there. The land doesn't help specifically in the graveyard. We could have just kept it up top. We could try to kill this immediately. We could also go to attacks and see if he taps it down, but because we do have the mana on the first main, I think we go ahead and discard. Okay, it's going to get indestructible. Okay, spot removal is not going to help our opponent here. He may board wipe, of course, which totally understand. We will block and force him to do something here. Okay. Indestructible. We'll go with Spider. And we will grab this out of the graveyard. He can tap it down on end step, I believe, and get us for the win. I think he... Yeah. He may have us another way here also. But we do need to block because we need to gain the lifelink. Let's see what the opponent does. He is thinking about this. Tinker's fully okay. He's going to try and get all of them bigger. Okay. He's gonna have to sacrifice. Yeah. Okay. Good games. We'll go ahead and get the next one started right away. So a lot of the ward there is sacrifice 3 non-land permanents, and so it is usually enough to protect from any kind of spot removal, but opponent's board was overwhelming at that point, and the math had to get there for our opponent, and good job that the opponent did end up getting there. Okay. Steam Core Scholar can dump the large cards. This is red, green. Okay, Fenrir is going to get a land. Go Spider. We'll play Scholar. Decline. We don't want to dump 2 of them. I guess the answer is we dump these 2. I guess we could have dumped the greeter, now that I'm thinking of it. Next turn it is Caverno bringing back the Arden, Arden bringing back the Scholar and attacking, and we will draw 2 cards. Block here does not particularly matter to me. Let's just make sure we have the colors. Okay. Nope, we'll go to my graveyard. We'll bring back the Arden. You know, Fenrir is not the craziest choice, but when you can do that, it certainly is powerful. Lifelink. If something happens, we do it all again, right? So I guess we don't have a way of putting Arden in the graveyard, but we can Caverno into Vein Ripper. Okay, Arden down. 5/5 Flying Vigilance. We could kill it and attack. We can kill it and get Vein Ripper. We can Town Greeter. We could Town Greeter and kill this. How does that feel? fine, right? I think it does. Okay. Get rid of this. Attack for 5. Next turn we will mill 3 cards. Right now, if we bring everything back, we'll get 2 Cavernos, Vein Ripper, another Scholar. He will get this 5/5. Okay. Okay. Now we can grab this also, right? So let's play Caverno. We'll grab this. We'll destroy his flyer. We'll attack. Can discard a card to grab another Caverno. And he is going to get a Overlord, so he's going to get another land, right? And everywhere. Oh, I'm sorry. He doesn't get the everywhere. He gets it when he attacks, so he'll get that in the next turn. Okay, so this is 4 elementary, I believe. From here, this would be this as Arden. And an Arden. Go grab I don't really want to blow things up right now, right? I think I'm in a good position. Ten flying. Let's see. I assume they have a removal spell for one of them. I don't assume they have a removal spell for both. Is it a fight spell here to this 5/5? That'll certainly keep him alive. Okay. Surprise creatures. Okay. He's going to gain 5 life. He's also going to discover 5. I think that's a whiff. Okay. He could have blocked there. Chose not to. He could put 2 more creatures out from his hand, but his hand has to be pretty thin here. Does he have enough to do both of these? This would be 3 and then 5, right? So I don't believe so. So we'll take something else back. We could take Bringer. Yeah. Opponent recognizes that he won't be able to do both halves, and I don't know what was in his hand, but it's clearly not two additional creatures there. We'll try one more here. The power of the deck is certainly here. Like a lot of decks in the metagame, it has some matchups. Some of the control decks that are really aimed towards it are definitely tougher. Here's a tough one with the lands. 1 green and everything else turns on. I'll mulligan it. Okay. Again, Verge, but we have the types. So we're going to be able to play everything here. Nothing until turn 3, so slower side of what is keepable at standard. But we'll play with the tap land tapped first, so we don't take 2 life. This is why I say you control how much life you take from here. Okay. We'll go ahead and impend. And we will be able to grab a Town Greeter. We want to hit our 4th land. Angel. Okay. We could Scholar or Town Greeter next turn. Okay, he's warping this. He's going to have an empty board. So, Town Greeter is more secure, but Scholar gets us closer, faster, and puts something, you know, ready to attack here. We'll go ahead and get rid of Zombify. Now we have the Caverno to get the Arden, and then the Arden. Oh no, I'm sorry, no Arden here. To get the Bringer. I don't know if we want Bringer here. We could get Vein Ripper. We could just kill it, play a tapped Watery Grave, attack for 2. Yeah, this Bringer doesn't sound like it's amazing right now. Let's Town Greeter. Okay. Esper Origins in there. Town Greeter. Now we will have it come into tapped. We'll go ahead and attack. I assume our opponent will just block. Yep. Closer to Overlord coming out. 4 mana now. Now this turn we may have to kill something. If we do, that's fine. It kind of takes us off of our plan. He has nothing in the graveyard. Now Bringer brings back Town Greeter and Vein Ripper. Not exactly the value engine we wanted. Okay. Okay. This could be Town Greeter and then Awaken. Again, slow going here. No need to rush this. He's playing to the board. Now, if we wipe the board, he will get this 1/3 back. He should have Shepherd online if he's still looking to get more lands. Yeah. I think he sees the writing on the wall. If I was on his seat, I'd make me show that I have the ability to bring something back. Some of these Reanimator decks play as little as like 5 copies of something to be able to bring back. We don't. We play 7, but I know some of them do play less. So let's take one last look at this deck and talk about it. Is this deck immediately worth 40 rare wild cards? Probably not. Hold on. Especially with the banned and restricted announcement coming around the corner. Let's see what everything shakes out with there. However, does it make sense if we can use 4 rare, 2 uncommon, and 4 common to take the starter deck up to that first level? You will need some lands, and so if you're not playing the rare lands, you're going to be a step behind in consistency, but you could still play the deck and feel out if this is really something you want to invest in or if this is something that you should wait. You could play more Bitter Triumphs. You could play some other cards that will let you do basically the same thing. You want to be able to get rid of the cards in your hand because these cards here are all just blanks, right? And by blanks, you know, this is like 12 blanks in your deck, in your 60 card deck. There's a big there's a large amount of them, and so if you can't dump them out of your hand or draw and discard or get rid of them in some other way, you are going to be feeling that glut when you're looking to go ahead and start comboing out. So I hope you like this deck. Please let me know in the comments below if you went ahead and upgraded all the way to Sultai Reanimator, or if you stopped somewhere in between. You know, it's actually a success if you go to step 2 and you play the deck for 30, 40 games and you realize it's not the play style you want to play. That is a success. That is spending only 10 wild cards where a lot of people would end up spending 30 or 40 that you would not get a lot of value back from, and you would still have the beginning of a Reanimator deck so that whatever gets published into Standard, you would still have this shell of a blue-black graveyardy value-y deck. You would have this available to you. So if you like content like this, please let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to take your support one step further, in the pinned comment below there is an Amazon web store. If you follow that link and you make any purchases, magic or otherwise, it's absolutely free, no cost to you, but we do get a few percentages back to help support the channel. Till next time, I hope you like this upgrade path. Please let me know what you think about step 2 and then step 3. They're not necessarily tied to the hip. You could absolutely just go to step 2, play, see how you like the deck, use the rares that you already have as you start collecting the lands, and make this a less painful experience. Okay, until next time, have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Bye, everyone.